Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Well Connected with Ricky and Fletch. I'm Ricky, and with me, as always, is my main man, Fletch. And today we are excited to talk with Malia Rogers. Malia is a first-generation American, the founder of Medigap Pros, LLC, and holds a master's in business administration. Her entrepreneurial drive and innovative strategies have propelled her business to grow organically, serving thousands of families nationwide. She currently mentors insurance agents around the nation and is passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow their business. Her insights and success stories have earned her features in national publications, appearances on podcasts, and invitations to speak at conferences. Malia serves on the local and state board of the National Association of Benefits and Insurance Professionals and resides in the picturesque Northwest with her husband and children. And today is a big day for Malia because she has a book launch that went live today, a book about networking. So it is just such an honor to have her here on such a busy, important day for her to talk about that. Malia, welcome. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on, both of you.
Heck yeah, no, it's fun. I know we live in the same kind of world, the Medicare world, and we've chatted online and whatnot. I think I sent you a referral at one point down way back when, but ultimately, we haven't gotten to know each other. But you're out there, you're networking, you're getting to know people, and we couldn't just not have you on. So that was great that you accepted to come on the show. Thanks.
Yeah, I love the idea of your podcast. It's such an important topic.
Heck yeah. Well, we get started here by breaking the ice. We ask a couple questions to all of our guests here. And to start off, I will go first. And if you had to forget everything you know about business, about insurance, and go back to when you were a kid, and you had to pick a sport to become an Olympic athlete, what would have your sport been?
Okay, I would be a figure skater. And I'm not graceful on ice or anything, but I know that if you work really hard and just put your heart and soul and energy into it, you can do anything.
I love that. I love that answer. And as someone who watched a lot of figure skating growing up, Tanya Harding, unfortunately or fortunately, is from my hometown, and so she's a famous for other reasons, famous figure skater, and we got to watch her a lot, and it was pretty amazing. So it's a pretty cool sport too, not just for the hard work.
Hey man, she got caught up with some bad people and made a bad decision. She can get a second chance, but she's a local hero and she was one hell of a figure skater, if that didn't, muddy her career or reputation, I guess.
Right. One bad decision can actually destroy your reputation.
Yeah. So, anyway, not to get too lost there, but that's awesome. I don't remember that we have met a figure skater yet. So I think we've said ice skaters, but not specifically figure skater.
I just love their costumes. I want to be dressed up all in green, twirl around on ice.
It's amazing. It's amazing what they can do. I couldn't do that on land, let alone, but they can do it on ice. Like I would break my neck. So it's pretty amazing what they do. And it's a choreography and all that kind of stuff is pretty amazing. So heck yeah.
I love it. Well, the question I always ask everybody that we're dying to know, Malia, is what is the most recent app that you have downloaded on your phone?
Okay, so to be truthful, the most recent app I downloaded is boring and embarrassing. I had to download Costco because I forgot my card. And so they had me download the app to get in. But the most recent app that I used is Headway. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah. Isn't that the one about where they give you like cliff notes of books?
Yes. I love it because sometimes you don't have time to read, and there's some amazing books out there. And so you get a Cliff Notes version of each book, and there's some famous books out there. And then if you decide that you really want to hear more, you can just buy the book.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
think I don't even know if I would frame that as not having time to read, but more sorting out which books are worth diving deeper into. Because a lot of the like, self-improvement or business type books get pretty repetitive,
That's
and
true.
about say the same thing over and over again. So you could use that to kind of sort out who's got some new ideas or more ideas that kind of resonate with what you're looking for.
That is true. Good point.
Sounds like a good use of your time instead of the doom scrolling, right? That so many people do. Um, pop in a headway and learn something. That sounds like an amazing choice. So
Right. And
good for
it's
you.
so affordable too. I think it's like $50 or $60 for the whole year.
It's not bad at all.
Nice.
It's not bad
Nice.
at all. Well, cool, Malia. Well, why don't you take a little bit of time here and kind of tell us about who you are, kind of your story, what you do, that kind of stuff, and get us and the audience kind of up to speed.
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Well, I started in the insurance industry. It was a total God thing. Basically, I was in the mortgage industry, and 1 month they asked me to go train a group of new hires, take a month off, and just go to this new city and just train. So I spent a month training, getting to know this lady named Jacqueline Lang, and then fast forward a few years later, we've stayed in touch, but she ended up leaving the industry and going into insurance. So fast forward years later, she calls me out of the blue. She says, Malia, I have been spending the last 8 years building my book. I have some other things I need to take care of, and I don't know what to do with my book of business. And she said, every time I prayed about it, your name would pop up. And so what she asked me to do is she said, hey, if I train you how to grow your own business, will you help me take care of my clients? And so that was how I got into the insurance industry. And what I quickly learned was how to build referral partners. That was the fastest way to grow business. And so I never had to do door knocking. I never had to buy leads or do cold calling. And now I'm in over 40 states and I have referral partners from all over the country that are sending me business. A lot of them I have never met before. And so I decided to write a book on how to build referral partners.
Powerful. That's huge. That's that's definitely, I guess, I don't want to say lucky, right? Because you're certain, but it's certainly lucky in some sense. But at the same time, it's got to come back to you being who you are, for have someone to think about and imagine you doing that work. That goes to say that you clearly were doing something pretty well and right in your life for her for you to be top of mind as someone she'd want to mentor, to take over her book.
Yes. Well, she did end up going back and so that's a whole new story. And
Okay.
her son has taken over her business and he
Okay.
is a rock star. So we're just, like it just worked out great. So, and to your point, it's a really good point because it does have more to do with you as a person, than probably luck, So over the past few years, I developed this 5-step process on how to build referral partners. And I've been teaching it to agents for years. And some of them have came to me and said it worked, but I realized to my dismay, it didn't work for everybody. And that's when I started thinking, now, why didn't my formula work for everybody? And that was my aha moment, is that if you could do all those steps, but if people don't like you, they just simply won't bring you business, right? So you can't force other people to send you business, but you can make changes to yourself to make yourself more magnetic and more attractive to for other people to want to work with you, send business your way, and collaborate with you.
That's powerful because we talk a lot about know, like, and trust. And it's one thing to know somebody, but they're not going to send you any business unless they like you, and then obviously trust you as well. So that goes to that big piece there. Um,
It's
Yeah, I would
true.
love. I mean, are you going to spill any of the beans? Or are we going to have to go and buy your book? Or, what can you
Well,
share
I'd
with us
love
about
I
this
think we could
magic?
probably
Yeah,
do a
I'd
little.
love
I think we could probably do a little bit of both.
Yes, so we are in such a high competitive like we're in a really competitive market, right? Insurance. Now I know you're both insurance agents as well. And so just in the state of Idaho, there's over 100,000 licenses that the state of Idaho alone maintains. And so if you think about it in a national level, think how much more licensed agents there are. And the truth is we're all offering the same exact product. My competitor down the street is offering all the same products I am. So when it boils down to it, people are going to buy from who they know, like, and trust.
100%.
And
100%.
so what's the title? How did you come up with the title? What's the name of your book? Let's let everybody know.
Yeah, so the name of my book is Magnetic Allure. It's I have it right here, the blueprint to building a network of referral partners. And this book isn't just for insurance agents. It could be applied to pretty much any industry out there, anyone that requires referrals for sales. And so my five-step process is only in the first chapter. The next 9 chapters has to do with characteristics that make you magnetic, because I think that's the secret sauce to getting people to send referrals. And then also chapter 10 or chapter 11 is about how to get over the fear of rejection, because I do believe that holds a lot of people back when it comes to reaching out to potential referral partners. And then, of course, the last chapter is on how to build accountability, because you can plan this all you want, but if you don't have accountability, then sometimes you don't stay on track. So that's basically the gist of my book.
Tell us a little bit about the accountability piece. I don't think that's something we've touched on. I would love to kind of know where you see accountability. Are you talking about like accountability within referral partners or within yourself, or, where are you kind of at with the accountability side?
Right. Okay. So I'm going to read a quote. So at the beginning of every chapter, there is a quote. So this one, chapter 12, the accountability effect, a paradigm for excellence, driving excellence through accountability. So accountability is the glue that ties commitment to the result. And so on this accountability, I talk about the different types. You can have self-accountability, peer accountability, group accountability, and professional accountability, public accountability, how to set up even Google reviews, how to automate and ask for Google reviews, what to do when you think you're missing Google reviews, and then also how to ask for it, do's and don'ts. And also we talk about there's apps that you can download to help you stay accountable. Things like habit tracking apps and screen time and website blockers. So, and then at the end of every chapter, I have smart moves. So the smart moves will help you, you can implement some of the principles that I talk about in each chapter.
Okay. That's awesome. So it's kind of that roadmap, right?
It's a roadmap, yes. And then if you want,
It's a blueprint, Fletch.
the chapter 1, it does use the word roadmap. So I probably should have used blueprint. Good call, Ricky. But yeah, a lot of the traits that I talk about is not just traits that I, thought it's not from my gut feelings. A lot of it I backed up by science and research. And so you can see why certain characteristics make you magnetic. And I'll give you a few examples of some of the things that I talk about. Finding a tribe, because magnetic people always have a tribe backing them up, and why that's important. Also, magnetic signature voice, finding a voice. The sound of your voice makes a difference. Now, you guys have this podcast, right? And I've listened to your podcast, and you both have a very good, deep, rich, authoritative voice. But you'd be surprised. Sometimes has this ever happened to you where you speak to someone over the phone, get to know them, and then you meet them in person and they're just not how you pictured them?
Oh, yeah.
So the reason why that happens is because our brain actually thinks in pictures. And so when you're hearing the sound of your voice, their voice, you're already formulating, your mind already formulates what they would look like based on your past experiences, right? But the research does say that a deeper, richer tone of voice will make you more authoritative, and people are more likely to trust you, rather than sometimes you hear someone, they have like a really airy or like a breathy sound. It just comes off as a little bit more inauthentic. Does that make sense?
No, it totally does. There's a lot. I have in my sales journey, I've done a lot of cold calling. I mean, really cold calling. And I used to read a lot of books about it. And there's a lot about what they call tonality with your voice when you're calling, and how to get these people who don't know you, have never heard of you, aren't expecting your call, specifically don't want your call and don't want to talk about insurance right now, right? Like the way that you use your tones to direct the conversation and create emotions and feelings out of them is really, really important to the art of that.
Good point. And tone is probably one of the largest factors. And when they first hear your voice, they like make a 7-second judgment, and so tone is probably one of the largest factor there. And even like your pitch too, when you say the same sentence, whether you say it in a upwards inflection versus a downward inflection, it actually can completely change the meaning of that sentence. And this is why a lot of people will sometimes, when they text or email, it could be misinterpreted, because it depends on the mood the reader's in, right? They could read it in a horrible mood and then think you're saying something or implying something. That makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen situations where like someone is really, really pissed off and upset and yelling and screaming. You can see their body big, and the person or the people on the receiving end often say like, "Oh, they were just swearing at me up and down." It's like they didn't actually swear at you, but the way that tone came off and you're hearing it gives you that feeling as if that's what's happening in the moment. Like it's kind of crazy when you see that stuff over and over again, that the tone of your voice and the way that you deliver things really makes people assume, like puts color on what you're saying in ways, whether you're actually saying that or not.
It's so true. But the encouraging thing is that if you don't like the sound of your voice, and a lot of people don't like the sound of their voice, you can actually change it. You can do exercises to change it. And that's something that I ended up doing, because the beginning of last year, I started a YouTube channel making videos for my clients. And then in February, I started voice lessons, like singing lessons. And then starting March, I noticed that the sound of my voice started getting like a richer and deeper tone. And that's from all those, vocal lessons and breathing exercises. And so that's an encouraging thing. And that's an encouraging thing about all the research I did on characteristics that make you magnetic. Because when I did the research, a lot of the people that I followed that are, well known for being magnetic now, they were once unpolished people. So that gave me hope that, hey, these are all characteristics that you can develop and learn over time.
I 100% agree with that. I have this conversation with my wife all the time. She's a big texter. She doesn't like to call or pick up the phone. And I talk about it a lot is your voice inflection, right? Even just taking the picture, right? Or the picture out of the whole story, right? Just the voice. People understand inflection. Like that's a huge part of language. And when you take the picture, right, the person out of the conversation, and now you're taking inflection out of the conversation, and you're just seeing the words on a screen, it's so easy to misinterpret. And over the 16 years I've been married, we've had so many conversations, heated conversations, because we think the other person's saying something that they aren't really saying. And
it boils
it's
down to miscommunication.
100%. I mean, it's like being a kid again, right? You've got to relearn how to have those conversations. I've got a 6-year-old that has a very difficult time with his, he's trying to tell you something, but he's saying it with like maybe the wrong emotion. And I think that's the same thing for a lot of professionals sometimes is they're so used to maybe texting something that they're not used to how does it come across when you're on the phone? How does it come across when you're at a networking event? It's a really I'm glad you brought the tonality stuff up because I think that's a huge piece in communication that's super important for folks.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
it's super important, not just in creating relationships and selling, but just life, like you're talking about, Fletch. I mean, Malcolm Gladwell has a whole book about it. What is it, Talking with Strangers or something like that? It's really good. Um, that's taught, and it's really about a lot of people that find themselves in conflict that could have otherwise been avoided had they changed the way they were communicating with each other.
Right. Or just picking up the phone. Because
Right.
sometimes if you have something really important to talk about, don't text or email. Just pick up the phone because then they can hear the sincerity of your voice and then there's leaves it less room for misinterpretation, right?
Yeah.
And communication is so huge. I'm glad you brought that up because communication is kind of like our signature, right? Because Maya Angelou said that people may not remember what you do, but they will remember how you made them feel. And if how you communicate with them is a big factor of how they made or how you made them feel, then that's basically your signature right there. So communication is super important on that and connecting with others.
So, I'm kind of curious your thoughts on your experience. We're big BNI guys, and that is talked about a lot in a lot of our episodes. And and I don't say that as if we believe that's the only way or the best way. It's a group where we met and it works with us. But I've just been thinking about you talking about accountability, and the thing that makes BNI so special is that group accountability. I'm kind of curious for our listeners who aren't part of BNI and don't feel that it's right for them or they have the time, but they want to get into networking. What are some kind of tips that you would give those people as far as self accountability? Because I know for me, that group accountability is way more impactful and stronger for me than the self accountability part of the piece would be.
Yes, and self accountability is pretty powerful too. I think tracking your own activity is huge. Because what I used to do is I would used to say, okay, my goal was to develop relationship and gain one new referral partner per month, right? And so that was my goal. And in order to do that, you have to talk to a lot of people. So that means how many one-on-ones, and how many reaching out, like how many people are you reaching out to per day to get to that many one-on-ones per week, which will eventually lead to that one new referral partner per month. And then it eventually snowballed, right? So what I did was I created a daily worksheet that so you can take notes and keep track of how many people you reached out to, how many one-on-ones you did, and some other stuff. But it's a free workbook that I created that complements my book, so they can download that workbook and then just print out that daily activity sheet to keep track. And I think that when you keep track and you can track, then it helps you with self-accountability.
We have a friend who talks a lot about that tracking things, and Chris Moore, he was also one of he's been on the podcast as well, and I think that's powerful. And I think a lot of people overlook the idea of tracking things that aren't maybe directly correlated to money. Like, it's, the referral side of things it definitely does correlate to income, and I'm not saying that, but it's harder to track, right? Trying to find those metrics of, hey, I've got this referral partner. How many referrals is this person going to send me? We don't know, right? But we still have to create those referral partners. We still have to balance those relationships. And that's interesting. I'd be definitely interested in checking that out. When it becomes available to see kind of how you track that. I think that's a great tool you're giving to folks.
Yeah, thank you. And on that activity tracker, I also have a space for gratitude, because gratitude is a huge part. Like, living a life full of gratitude will make you more magnetic for so many reasons too. So if you're ever in a bad mood, or if you're ever just kind of feeling down, just pull out a sheet of paper and write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And then you'll see, just watch, like, your mood will completely change within minutes.
That's fantastic. It's one of those things. It's hard to do anything worth meaning, right, without a smile on your face, or without in a headspace. Usually it's like those types of emotions attract each other, right? If you're negative, you're going to attract more negative things. If you're positive, you're going to attract more positive things. So that's a great reminder.
That is so true. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
Ooh, I like that one. There you go. Right. That's nice. I'm going to use that.
So how do you, I guess, you mentioned your goal was to find, one referral partner a month, right? Having those one-to-ones, having those connections. How did you identify those folks? How did you go after, how did you go about doing that? Right. Like, I think it's easy to think, like, on the insurance side, I need to talk to 10 people, 3 of them are going to convert, 1 of them is going to be an actual sale, like, there's on the sales side. But I don't think a lot of people look at that on finding referrals. I know it's probably similar, but how did you strategize with that?
Yes. So think of your potential clients as going through a series, right? So the number one step is to identify who your target market is. So, because not everybody is our potential client, right? So, Ricky, you do commercial, so you're right. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So your target is going to be like business owners, right? So,
but not all business owners.
Not all business owners. Okay. So find who your target, your ideal client is, and then you figure out who are the other professionals that service your ideal target market. And then those are the people that you need to reach out to. So for health, it's going to be, P&C agents or financial advisors, or doctors. And then you reach out to those people.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And you're just trying to create that relationship of being a resource, right?
Yes. And with BNI, it's like the giver's gain mentality. And it's so true because if you meet someone and you can kind of tell when someone meets you and they're just all about what's in it for me kind of deal versus, hey, how can I help you? Right. So the important thing is just putting yourself out there and helping people, being a resource for people. And so when the time comes that they need help with their insurance or whatever product that you're offering, then you will be the first to come to mind.
Yeah, I mean, and you're not the first person that's come on and kind of talked about that. And I just say this because I have seen a lot of people come into BNI groups like BNI saying, well, when am I getting my referrals? I'm not getting a lot of referrals, or just expecting that by showing up that they're just getting all of these things and it's just going to magically show up at their doorstep, right? But there's been others that have said this similar things, that you still have to reach out and to strangers to connect with them who you think are going to build that relationship with you to be the referral partner.
That's
So
true.
there's no shortcut by just joining a group.
That's really true. And the really funny thing is you never know. All it takes is one person to blow up your business, and you never know who it's going to be. It's always someone that you don't expect. Well, I don't know about you guys. From my experience, it's people that you just don't expect to blow up your business. And this is why I think there's people out there. Not a lot of people do this, but it's kind of obvious when this happens. Have you ever met someone who you can tell they'll only talk to you if they think you are someone important or someone that can help them?
Those aren't my people.
Yeah, well, so their strategy doesn't work because like every single time I've met somebody that literally changed my life, it's always unexpected. It's always someone I would never have guessed. Like one time, well, when I was first starting out, this was like one of my first big breaks, is I called into an insurance carrier and I had someone help me with a customer service issue. So he helped resolve my issue. I hung up the phone, thanked him, and then I sent him a thank you card. It was like a $5 Starbucks gift card. It wasn't very much. I didn't have a lot of money when I was starting out. Turns out he's the person that answers the phone when someone calls in for insurance and they don't have in-house agents. So guess who started getting those referrals? This person, right? So just by having the attitude of gratitude and just, you never know. I didn't even know that he was the person that did that. I just thought he was like a customer service rep, right? But he blew up my business. And within just a few months, I had calculated out that he sent me like $900 of residual income monthly. And of course, I can't really track all of that because his referrals sent me referrals too. So it was like a snowball effect. And then pretty soon it was like another person came along that was like that. They blew up my business, and then another, and then it just snowballs. And then you can't even stop the business from coming in. Even if you didn't have the time to service everybody, then it's time to hire and grow your agency.
That's a powerful reminder. And you may have just, really caffeinated any insurance agent that listens to this podcast. They're all the customer services reps around the country are going to thank you for keeping them caffeinated. Because I think a lot of people will snitch that idea. But that's a great reminder. It's so true. You never know who's going to become your raving fan. When you treat them right, when they care about you as much as you show that you care about them. I think that's an important piece to remind folks is you're kind of in the business of creating like raving fans, right? It's,
Right.
if you can take somebody and make sure that every time they meet somebody, they want to talk about you, man, you're doing something right.
Yeah, you know what's so funny about the Raving fan thing is that a lot of times it requires you to be raving fans of other people. You know, you just excuse me, by going out there and just cheering people on when they're winning or when they're starting out, that actually is important, because people always say, like, hey, pay attention to who's not clapping for you when you're winning. Well, I mean, that's true, and you do notice that, but just remember, are you the person cheering other people on when they're winning, right? Or when they're down too. So I have another story to share. I think I mentioned to you before we started this is that my friend Melissa, the insurance exam queen, she recently interviewed me about my book. Well, just two years ago, before she started her YouTube channel, she started her program on how to teach agents how to pass their insurance exam, right? And guess who was a raving fan of hers? I was, and I was one of the first to buy her program. I hired her to train one of my agents that was trying to pass her exam at that time. So I was a big cheerleader for her, and it wasn't like I was trying to gain something back. But guess what? Fast forward 2 years later, now she's got over 40,000 subscribers on her YouTube, and now she is cheering me on my book. So she interviewed me and is going to share my book to her audience.
It's powerful. That's a reciprocal agreement. That's working out pretty darn good for you, and you did it out of the goodness of your heart. So good for you. That's huge.
Thank you.
I'm just so excited right now hearing you talk about all these things, and that you have a book about networking, because when we started this podcast, a big part of it and drive of it was there's not a lot of good material out there about podcasting, about networking, and to find somebody who just wrote this super extensive book about it is it's just so exciting to me right now to have you here.
Thank you. Yes, and I love what you're doing with your podcast, because networking is huge, and just meeting one person can change your life, and that's an important message, because usually it's not like a single strategy that you implement. It's usually one person that changes your life, right? Or you might be the person that changes someone else's life, and in order to maybe meet that person or be that person, you do have to put yourself out there and network, and that's what it's all about.
But it's fun. I mean, it's a fun. It makes the fun. I mean, imagine, like, people who think, oh, it takes too long and I need to get business now. You need to just buy leads and call them. I mean, it's so transactional and repetitive, and gets into it where it's so much more meaningful when you're actually helping people, because the others are sending you them because they know that they need your help.
Right. And you're 4 times more likely, or people are 4 times more likely to buy from you if you were referred. So I mean, I think that when a professional says, hey, call Ricky or call Fletch, for your insurance needs, they already are calling in knowing that they're going to work with you. So it just makes it so much easier to, get to the chase. Hey, find out what their needs are, shop, and then educate them about the products that you're offering. Whereas if you're cold calling, you first have to, take that wall down, because people have walls up. They're used to a million people calling them. I think there's a statistic out there that says that people see like 4,000 advertisements a day or more, even like 4,000 to 5,000. So you have to find a way to stand out, and it's building referral partners is one of the most cost-effective way to advertise. Taking someone out to coffee or lunch is way cheaper than some of the other methods out there.
100%. Here's a funny story you might get a chuckle out of. I met with a beneficiary this morning. I went to go have coffee with this beneficiary and their wife, and soon to be, I'll say. And they brought this stack with them. I'm sure you can probably imagine what this stack was. This stack of papers was all the advertisements that they had gotten
Wow.
within the last week. Like, not even just. I mean, today's Friday, but just this week.
Mhm.
And I was sifting. They wanted me to what I need to know what to do with these papers. I start sifting through there. There are so many other agents that I know in
Mhm.
that stack. It's like,
Yeah.
so, when we're talking about networking, we're talking about all these types of things. Not that that stuff is bad. Not that sending mailers is bad. I'm not trying to poo poo on that. I'm just trying to point out that you're not really differentiating yourself, even if you pay for the fanciest postcard, the fanciest mailer, all that kind of stuff. You're not differentiating yourself. But
That's a good.
yeah, like, and so when you're getting a referral, you're making these relationships, you're cultivating this, that, you know, yes, it may cost $5 for a coffee. Well, it's probably $7 now for a coffee, but you know, but it's those types of things that you're kind of going back to these old school methods that really have always worked and they will continue to work. And you're actually having communications with people instead of like this world of social media and all these types of things. Those are tools, but
Mhm.
getting back to the kind of the old face to face, having a real conversation, learning about somebody, figuring out, like, understanding I mean, that's what I'm so passionate about, networking and these referrals and that kind of stuff. It's not because I'm after a dollar figure. Ultimately I got to be able to feed my family, but it's because I really enjoy having real conversations with people. I think it's so important in today's world, or, people don't know their neighbors half the time.
Right. Right.
I think it's huge.
Connecting
Yeah.
with others is more important now than ever because we live in such a disconnected world now.
You're muted, my friend. Yeah.
Fletch, it's like you're talking about with your wife with texts, right? I mean, it's just gets such to be it's so much nicer to just talk to somebody than
Mhm.
it is to be on text or email all the time.
Right.
And it's like you're making friends with people, you know, that it's not just, it becomes not just solely business related, but when life happens and you need support from others, you have those people now around you as well.
Right.
I mean, like, it Fletch and I have both have had life happen to us a lot in the last 8 months, and
Mhm.
having he and I being there for each other more than just referral partners and podcast co-hosts and BNI chapter members, I mean, it makes getting through those times a lot easier.
That is so true. That's a great point. And I do believe that's one of the reasons why I have a chapter in my book about finding your tribe, because finding a tribe is important, not only because they bring out the best in you and they'll hold you accountable. Um, the other thing too is that having a tribe, okay, so it's one thing if you brag on yourself, it kind of looks bad, right? But if your tribe brags about you too, it kind of lifts you up. And so it's there's so many reasons why you should find a tribe. But I believe that we're created to connect with others. And so truly that's like really important. It's up there, in importance. That's one of Maslow's of needs. If you look at the of that chart, the sense of belonging is right up there with food, shelter, and safety.
I truly believe that we wouldn't have, even, this is kind of getting a little deeper than networking, but
Mhm.
I don't think we would have evolved as a society, as a people,
Mhm.
had it not been for communities, tribes, if you will, like you're saying. I don't really think that we can succeed as people, as individuals, right? Like we're pretty weak. I'm a bigger dude, but compared to a lion, I'm still pretty weak,
Right.
but put four, five, six of us together with just sticks, right? And we can accomplish a whole heck of a lot. I think it's the same thing, and the internet was supposed to combine us and bring us closer together, make this world smaller, but it's also created a different kind of barrier. And I think learning to get back to having that conversation, sharing a meal or a drink or something like that,
Right.
getting to know people on a deeper level than just what you put up on your Instagram feed is important. It brought us together, right? It brought us together, right, to have this
That's
podcast, which is awesome, right? But I think having a further conversation like we're having right now and learning about what each other are doing and growing and having these conversations, that's where the real magic happens, in my opinion. But
that is so true. Yeah, I agree with you 100% there. Good points.
I love it. I
So,
love it.
so Malia, I want to get to this because we're going to run out of time in a few minutes here, and we got to respect yours and our audience and our own time here. Um, how people listen to this? I mean, I know I'm one of these people. I want to get a copy of your book and read it. How do people find your book?
All right. So it is available on Amazon for $12.99. I try to price it as low as possible. And they can go on MaliaRogers.com to download the free workbook that I mentioned. Now, the funny thing, I'm a brand new newbie author, and I didn't know this, but once you publish your book to Amazon, you actually have to wait for them to approve it. And nobody knows how long it takes for them to approve it. So I initially thought my launch date was today, but I think it's going to take a little bit longer. So it's technically not available as of right now, but I'm checking almost hourly when they will approve it. It could be this weekend, it could be Monday. But probably by the time this podcast launches or goes out, it should be ready.
Definitely. These podcasts will air on Tuesday mornings, and so by Tuesday, we'll cross our fingers and make sure it'll be out by this Tuesday, or if not the next. This will be going. I'm not sure which day we're scheduled to put it
I
out.
think it'll be the next Tuesday. We have a buffer
Perfect.
here. Awesome. That's great. And maybe some people want to even connect with you, not just buy your book. Is that the same way to find you, or how do you prefer people to reach out and say hi?
Yeah, I would love that. I love connecting with people, not only in the industry, but other entrepreneurs as well. So they can find me on Facebook, just Malia, Malia Rogers, Rogers.
Beautiful. We'll make sure we put that all in the show notes and all the good things for people to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
What is kind of our last question? We do a lot. Well, second to last question. But what is one thing? So if you wrote a book on it, you clearly live it. But what is one thing that people new to networking, new to trying to create referral partners? What's one thing that they can do, right? That could change the way things work for them. How could they grow and learn something? What's one thing, one takeaway?
Okay, so the biggest thing is working on communication skills. And no matter how well you already communicate, you can always improve on it. So things like taking an improv class. I took a improv class recently, and I think that is helpful so that when you're talking to someone, that you can be quick to converse and not run out of things to talk about, and whatever they throw your way, then you can go along with it. Because that's improv is it's not just about being funny, it's about taking whatever someone throws your way and going with it, because the biggest thing is yes, and there's a game we play, and whatever they throw at you, they could say the sky is, green. Then you have to take whatever they say and say yes, and then continue with that.
Good practice. It'd probably be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. I bet you there's an improv class or something in every major city. So I highly recommend it. Work on communication skills.
Great advice. I love it. I think that's great. Well, we can't let you go without finding out one more thing about you. Let's say somebody is, where are you? You're in Spokane, is that right?
Coeur d'Alene.
Coeur d'Alene, even more beautiful. So maybe we find ourselves up in Coeur d'Alene for a weekend and want to get together. What is your coffee order, Malia?
I actually am embarrassed to say this, but I don't drink coffee. I never have. People say that if you have had babies and went through college without drinking coffee, I don't know how I did it, but I did it then, So I would say just like a iced chai tea latte. It's a little boring, but yeah, that's my order.
I don't know about that. You come to Portland, there's some pretty cool chai spots that you'll have to come check out if you're ever over here.
I was just gonna say, you come to Portland, come reach out to me. I'll take you down to Portal Tea. Their banana bread chai is something else.
Banana bread chai? What?
I know it sounds like a lot. It sounds like it's this super just like overwhelming, sweet, crazy thing, but it's not. And with hemp milk down there, the way they do it, it's awesome.
Wow.
I can't get enough of it.
Amazing. Now I will have to go to Portland.
Yeah. And there's another place. There's a place called Insomnia that I had actually one an hour ago, and the hemp chai tastes like a liquid oatmeal cookie. It is the most amazing thing there is. So yes, we are not only known for coffee over here, we are known for some pretty good chai. So come on down.
Portlanders. Is it the same talking about hemp milk chai drinks?
So two different places. He's on the one side of town, I'm on the other, and we meet in the middle occasionally. So
that's amazing. I love it.
So
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Malia. We really do appreciate it. I think our listeners and us learned a lot. And to all of our listeners, if you learn something, please like this and share it with somebody who might find some value out of this. So thank you again, Malia, for joining us on Well Connected with Ricky and Fletch.
Thank you for having me.